Georgia, the burn pile murder trial against Melody Farris resumes. Testimony scheduled to start at 9 o'clock Eastern. That's where we're going to start this morning. It's our top story. The defendant's son, Scott Farris, returning to the stand today. It was an emotional day of testimony yesterday as both sons testified. Defendant Melody Farris accused of killing these boys' father, Gary, and burning his body in a fire pit in their yard. Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson has been covering this for us and has more from North Georgia.
Ted, good morning. We're wrapping up week 1 of testimony in the burn pile murder trial playing out here in Cherokee County, Georgia. Scott Farris will be back on the stand for cross. On direct, Scott Farris broke down on the witness stand, describing a chaotic home life behind the scenes. His parents constantly fighting, his mom spending lots of money, his dad cutting her off from the bank accounts. And Scott said that she was living a double life with a burner phone and boyfriends on the side. Today, Scott Farris is expected to testify about finding his dad's body on the burn pile, finding a strange gun in the house, and when he suspected his mother might be involved.
How would you describe their marriage to each other?
Not good.
Why so?
Because she was constantly disappearing, taking off, spending an abundance of money. You know, they were constantly arguing with each other, never out in public. It was always at the house. I was either planning some plans or doing mulch or something. My dad was on the other side of the property, and she came out of my dad's office doors and screaming and cussing, and she threw a plate up against the wall of the house, and she screamed, "I can't wait till the day he dies. I can't wait till the day I don't have to live with him anymore."
And yesterday was the first time that we really saw emotion from this defendant. At times during testimony of her sons, she broke down in tears. Ted?
Our thanks to Matt Johnson. Matt will be in the courthouse today, or in the courtroom today, and be reporting throughout the day here on Court TV as this drama continues to unfold. Let's talk about it. Joining us this morning, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno, and national family and parenting relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Good morning to both of you. Happy Friday. This is quite the case, boy. David, we're expecting the cross-examination of this basically person that the defense has targeted from the opening statements as the real killer, one of the sons of the defendant. How do you handle this if you're, I mean, you've already gone out on a limb and said, oh, we think this is our guy. This should be something else. Is this a full attack mode if you're the defense?
Yeah, this is all or nothing. This is an all or nothing defense. I mean, sometimes the defense, they're just arguing they haven't proven the case beyond a reasonable doubt. But when you box yourself in like they have here, it's all in on this defense. So this cross-examination is going to be key for this defendant. And essentially, they have to prove that this son, the second oldest, he's second in line, is the one that would kill his father. Right. And we already know there's tension within this family, and all of the physical evidence and all of the circumstantial evidence and the motive evidence all goes against the defendant, especially that text message that we heard about the gruesome death. She said he hopes he dies alone, and a gruesome death. I'll tell you what, there's not much more gruesome than you could get with a gunshot wound falling into a fire and burning like he did in this particular fire pit. So those statements are damning. The physical evidence damning. The motivation damning. And now it's all in on this particular cross-examination. And if it fails, this is a conviction, no doubt, for this defendant.
Scott Farris said, Dr. Sue, basically mom was brainwashing us because she hated dad so badly. I want to get your opinion on his believability, but first let's take a listen to him basically accusing his mother of using the kids as pawns in this horrible relationship.
She always, talked bad about my dad. It's like she always tried to brainwash us, like he was, such a horrible person.
Did she ever complain to you about Chris's spending or using money?
I took everything with a grain of salt from that she said about money.
Dr. Sue, what do you think of him? Because if the defense wants the jury to think that he's the real killer and he's lying on the witness stand.
Yeah, well, you know, I think this whole case, Ted, is full of secrets, lies, and deceit. And when you have a dysfunctional family like this, where he's claiming what I work with every single day is that the mom is alienating him from the father. I mean, that is what we call his brainwashing. Do we think, though, that he's actually telling the truth here? And the thing here is that I don't know. I don't know if you think he's telling the truth, but to me, I'm not sure in this case. There's so many signs here that I think lead to deception and untruth that I'm not sure his testimony was strong enough to convict her. And just because somebody has been brainwashed and there's people slinging back words towards each other doesn't mean that the mother is a murderer. You can make statements, but it doesn't mean that you're a killer.
Here's brother Chris on the stand, also talking about the relationship between mom and dad and how both of them seem to be just in a living hell.
He told me that he was very depressed, and he said that each day with my mother was pretty much the worst day of his life versus the day before. Like every day was the worst day of his life.
Chris, did you have anything to do with the murder of your father?
No.
There was. David, if I'm a juror and I don't believe, because the defense has gone all in here, I don't believe that either one of these kids had anything to do with the death of their father. Is that an automatic conviction? Are they by going all in, are they losing the reasonable doubt? Because there is a lack of evidence. There's no murder weapon. The bullets that were found were in the barn. And that's where one of the boys stayed. Are they taking a risk by going all in and pointing the finger at somebody?
I think really it's their only option. I mean, because you think of where the body was found on the property. This is an attorney, a prominent attorney. There's really not other third-party guilt that they're pointing to or came up in the investigation. You know, sometimes the defense, like I said, goes with beyond a reasonable doubt type arguments. I mean, the attorney, maybe he had prior clients, but no, they didn't just go in that way. They're going very, very narrow into this defense. But, I mean, I see circumstantial rather strong, actually. I understand there's no weapon. I understand that there is no direct evidence on the actual shooting or the death. But with that being said, this victim was screaming for help. You know, he had made comments to family members that he believed she was trying to poison him. He showed up in a hospital thinking that she poisoned the cookies. I mean, the text messages all support guilt on the defendant. So although they don't have that weapon,
they support that she hated him.
Motive evidence that they could rely on.
What about the specifics? I mean, they support that she hated him. I think they hated each other, right? But how does she, if they believe the murder took place in the basement, how does she lug a 300-pounder of dead weight to the fire pit and do these?
Oh, that's a good question.
Can you lean into it as the defense at the end of the day, even if I don't believe one of the kids did it? Is there a window that we don't know what happened, so you gotta let her go?
It's all about today. It's all about today, Ted. You know, like I said, Scott's on the stand. This is where they're going. They're very narrow. And by the way, Scott's big enough to drag. He's a former veteran. He's got the physique. He's a big boy. I think he was 250 pounds at the time of the alleged incident. So if you want to go in that direction, that is absolutely a person that would have been able to do it. But we shall see, because it's all in one basket and it rises and falls on this cross.
Yeah, and that cross we're expecting to kick off just after 9 o'clock this morning. and we will be there to watch it all because it is going to be something else. You know, the direct examination is one thing, but the cross is going to be something else.